American institutions rather than allowing the free markets to flourish. Joining me now from the Capitol Statuary Hall in Washington, D.C., representing Texas's 1st Congressional District, Congressman Louis Gohmert. Congressman, I see the president, I look at him overseas with Theresa May there, and interacting with the Queen of England, and I say to myself, you know, a lesser man would have been brought down by what is happening in the House of Representatives right now through the Democrat leadership and Nancy Pelosi. He's carrying on, he's doing the business of the American people, which is what 65 million Americans elected him to do. So I would ask you, as we look at a bilateral trade agreement, and then we look at it through the prism of the USCMA, whatever, the Mexican-American-United States Agreement, being slow-walked right now by the Democrats. They don't seem to have an interest in it at all. Do they have any shame? Do they have any care about the functioning of government and the functioning of this economy? Do they care more about bringing down this president and the economy with it?
And you said it all. They care more about bringing down Donald Trump than they do about helping the economy or trade agreements that will help the American workers, the American people. They are so dialed in to attacking Donald Trump. They cannot back off. And the more that comes out, the more you see why that is so important to them, is because it was a conspiracy. There was collusion with Russia, but it happened to be between the Clinton campaign, Fusion GPS, and the FBI, and potentially the intel community, all trying to gang up on candidate Trump, build a case, and then, as Peter Strzok called it, the insurance policy, if he did win, to take him out. And as that stuff starts unraveling, and we're hearing more and more about what a setup it was, just total corruption in one administration trying to prevent another from getting elected and then being in office. Yeah, they're going to be making a lot more noise to distract from the facts as they keep coming out. But you're right. I mean, look at the president. He's out there. He's trying to do trade deals. He's doing amazing negotiations. And they thought just the allegations and the harassment of him, his family, that he would say, enough already. I don't need this. I'm going to go back to making big money. But not this guy. They have underestimated him. They have to return.
You are on the Judiciary Committee. Next week, June 11th, I believe, before the full body of the House of Representatives, there will be contempt charges brought against the Attorney General, William Barr, and the former White House counsel, McGahn. But as a predicate to that, on June 10th, in your committee, Jerry Nadler is bringing forth, instead of Robert Mueller, who, by the way, I'm sure you have a couple, 3 questions for, instead of Robert Mueller, they're bringing John Dean. John Dean, a paid contributor to an anti-Trump television network.
Yeah, there you go. That's how desperate things have gotten. We're not going to carry on the nation's business. We're going to try to go back to a happier time in Democrats' lives when they were able to successfully come after a president. So I'm looking forward. I have some good questions for John Dean. That will be a very interesting hearing. I'm not sure if the Democrats really know what they're getting into with John Dean.
What about Robert Mueller, Congressman? It seems as though the Democrats have pretty much walked away from trying to get him to testify. I would imagine you would embrace asking Robert Mueller a couple, 3 questions, no?
Oh, would I ever? Look, Graham, back when he was the FBI director under President Bush, I was coming after him because I was finding out he was destroying the FBI from the inside. He was running off thousands and thousands of years of FBI's best people, the experience. And in fact, I can't help but believe if Mueller hadn't run off so many thousands of years of experience, then you couldn't have had a McCabe or a Strzok or a Page or that would be as abusive of those positions as they became without some of the older heads coming in and going, you can't do that. That's not right. That's going to get this place in trouble. But he ran off those people because he wanted nothing but yes people in the FBI. I really believe he did more damage to the FBI than anybody, including Hoover in his worst years.
And then Mr. Comey picked up where Mueller left off, unfortunately. And so what we see here...
Oh my gosh, isn't that the truth?
What we see here, Congressman, is the Democrats using the Mueller report, and now I guess you would call it possibly deconstructing the Mueller report. Where is this headed? In your mind, is it headed just toward this slow electronic impeachment, is what I call it, or is there going to be an actual?
They're trying to. They know that the Senate's not going to vote to remove President Trump from office, and especially as more and more comes out about what Hillary Clinton knew and what Barack Obama knew. As Lisa Page said, POTUS wants to know everything. She was preparing briefing information for him. So they're going to be wanting to throw as much mud, hoping something will stick before we find out just how much President Obama knew and when he knew it. But as far as Mueller, Grim, I can't help but believe after hearing and seeing Mueller, I think he must have worked a deal with Nadler. This is my supposition. Probably Nadler said, look, I know you don't want to come be cross-examined by these nasty Republicans. If you will just have a press conference and give me some lines to jumpstart our push for impeachment, then we won't call you, we won't subpoena you, we won't force you to come in. It's really kind of the way it looks to me, but I'll be thrilled if we get a chance to ask him questions. He's got a lot of explaining to do.
Well, and that's one of the questions is, was he working with the Democrats on Capitol Hill during this entire process? And we have a right to know the answer to that. We also have a right to know when he decided there was no collusion and why he didn't come before the American people and say there was no collusion just before a very important 2018 midterm election cycle. Now, Congressman, when Judiciary Committee is not attacking the president, apparently it's going after the private sector. I want to get your read on this, and that is this Nadler attempt to look at, quote, competition in the high-tech field. And I want to quote from his news release on this. Given the growing tide of concentration and consolidation across the economy, it is vital that we investigate the current state of competition in digital markets and the health of antitrust laws. So are we to believe that Jerry Nadler even understands, this lifelong bureaucrat even understands what competition is in the private sector, number one, and number two, that Nadler's going to maybe have a government version of Google? What are we looking at here?
I don't know. That's what I'm sure they would like, to have a government version of Google, or just take control of Google. It's kind of like Churchill said once to the liberal, every time you see something big, you want to nationalize it. I'm sure that's what some of our friends on the Judiciary Committee want to do. But I welcome those hearings as well, because you have had, whether it's Google snatching up internet companies, or, you just see a really scary looking Silicon Valley out there. The control they have, the ability to keep conservatives from getting their information to the top of the search engine and the top of Facebook and Twitter, and the amount of trouble, like Diamond and Silk have told me that, when they mention President Trump, they spend days just trying to answer the question and prove that they're not a Russian trying to be manipulative. It's really gotten brutal, so I welcome those. I think it'll be a good thing, but probably the Democrats would love to see the government take control of all of that. Obama actually made inroads in that direction.
It would be nice if these committees would not be weaponized anymore, because clearly they have been weaponized by the Democrats in order to advance their agenda. Right. They understand they can't get any of their anti-liberty legislation through because of the United States Senate and, of course, the president. And so what they decided long ago was just to weaponize these committees in order to advance their agenda for 2020. Congressman, thank you. Coming up next, we go down to the border for the latest on the exploding numbers of illegal alien invaders.